Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome back to War Thunder. It's been a while since I've played any of this and I'm going to have a go at some RB tank battles with my American machines. And the reason why this is War Thunder rather than World of Tanks is that, well, if you follow my Twitter you'll know I had some technical issues which, as it turns out, were caused by updating to the latest AMD video drivers. And that was not making World of Tanks very happy, apparently. So I had to... Well, first off, I tried to roll back the drivers and found out I couldn't. Then I did a system restore, which didn't quite work properly. So I undid the system restore. Then I uninstalled the drivers, and then I reinstalled the old drivers. And it was all terribly convoluted and took way longer than you'd think it would reasonably. But anyway, I got there in the end. And World of Tanks is now, I think, working properly. But I'm doing War Thunder instead because it's easier to sit down and record something live, basically. And I suppose I could do some live World of Tanks, but I decided it's been so long since I did War Thunder that we'd jump in and give it a go, because there's been, of course, a fairly major patch since I last played this. In fact, probably several major patches, but the recent one was, I think, 1.51. And I actually had hoped that there would be one of the Enduring Conflict events running today, because that's one of the major new things that's with the patch, is these several hours long battles that you don't have to stick around for the whole battle. I mean, of course you can, but you can basically drop in on these things when they are running, and at the moment it's just aircraft. They will probably include tanks in the mix at some point, but it's interesting. Of course, I was playing with the lowest, because they divvy it up by the different aircraft tiers, well, BR really, and I was playing the lowest one with my British planes, which meant I started off with biplanes, and the first couple of runs, and it was the Swordfish bomber, so I had to go and bomb stuff. And the first couple of runs that took like better part of 25 minutes, just because the Swordfish bomber is so slow. So that part was a bit boring, but I figured I could always, if I was going to record it, I could just chop that bit out in the editing, unless I could think of something particularly interesting to talk about. But it's not running today, so we're just going to have some standard RB battles instead. And like I said, it's been a while since I've played this, so we'll see how it goes. I might fumble the controls a bit, like... yeah, right-clicking does that, and apparently I'd forgotten that right-clicking does that, and now I know. Although actually, War Thunder has a nasty habit, I think I mentioned this previously, that in between patches it resets all your customized controls, and I've kind of given up trying to change it back. And apparently you can do things with copying config files, but I haven't been able to find the config files in question, but I'm probably just looking in the wrong place. But I don't play it often enough for it to really be a major issue. It's just slightly annoying. I have no idea what we're doing. This thing on the left side, by the way, underneath the RPMs and the gearing and all that kind of thing, that's another new feature. You can actually get in-game missions, and I think actually within Enduring Conflict itself they have that feature, but you can actually be assigned them by other players. Well, I think this anti-mech one though, that's just, I don't know if it's just literally me and these two other players that have been assigned this one, and presumably other people have been assigned different ones, but there's a bit of competition going on there. Whoa, hello. Right, I am taking shots from somewhere. Oh, hello, I just saw that tank. Of course, this is RB, no markers, and I am hideously out of practice, so yes, there's that. So I literally just drove out sideways in front of that guy, and apparently I don't have enough spawn points to get back into the battle. So that's nice. We'll try that again. And hopefully I won't immediately derp out quite so hard. One thing that did... that did get me about because Enduring Conflict was played as the realistic battle difficulty level, was that, I mean, I didn't do that much. In fact, most of the stuff I did consisted of bombing, but for the amount of time I was in there, I really didn't get a lot out of it. I must have been in that match for 40 plus minutes. And it was not well rewarded as a amount of time spent. Let's try the grant this time. Might actually make a little bit more money. So that was a bit disappointing. Now let's see if I actually no, I did have control set up so I could have the different... Now this is one of the few tanks where anything with multiple turrets, I can now not remember what the controls are for selecting the different turrets, so that is something of an annoyance. Anyway, we'll just have to live with that. I'm not going to sit and fix that right now. I think that's one of the new vehicles. That's basically an M3 half-track with an anti-tank gun on it. Not a lot of armour. Also, apparently this is a Russian server game. I've only got... I mean, one of the nice features about War Thunder is the fact that you can select which servers you want to play on. But I've only got RU and EU selected just for reasons of ping, because if I get put on the NA server, generally my ping is just a bit on the high side, and their SEA server even more so. So let's see if I can find anything to shoot. Oh, hello, that's an enemy tank over there. T-34 or something. Now, I'm trying to fire with the main 75mm gun, which I have no idea which reticle it is. I also can't see that tank anymore. So he's behind a rock or something. Yeah, I'm oh, I don't know. I had it all nicely set up. And also apparently, there we go. Right. That's the ammo I think I want. Okay. I think. Like I say, it's been a while. I don't play this game a whole lot. If I do, it's more aircraft than tanks these days. Because I think aircraft combat is where War Thunder still stands out. I mean, obviously, I actually mentioned in... It wasn't that long ago, a couple of weeks maybe. Uh-oh, probably don't want to fall down there. That Gaijin had managed to... Well, managed to... That makes it sound like it was accidental. They DCMA'd a video. And it turned out... Well, they said it was basically as a result of miscommunication. And I was a bit sceptical, and I still am a little bit sceptical, but I suppose it could have just been that level of incompetence. And I say that because as a YouTuber, you know, maybe that doesn't mean a lot to other people, but as a YouTuber, that's pretty serious. That actually happened to Maxwell, who got, I think, 2 strikes. And that's why he had to basically go off and do a channel refresh almost. He had to start a new channel. Because one of them was spurious and got squashed, and the other one, well, he said they were probably technically right, but because he had kind of fought them on one of them, they decided to be intransigent about the other. So, yeah, it can potentially just a publisher or a developer or whatever, they can just take somebody's channel down, and companies can and have abused that. And if any of you watch Jim Sterling at all, who makes reviews, basically critical content, and I mean critical in the sense of being a critic, although I don't think he calls himself a critic, but it's that style of thing. If you're using footage to do that sort of thing, regardless of whether you're US, UK, or anywhere else in the EU, that's basically covered by what's called fair use laws. Now, most companies are sensible. Most video game companies, they recognise the fact that people making content about their games is a good thing, because it's basically free publicity. It's people showing off their games that they don't have to pay for in any way, shape or form. But that's a double-edged sword, because of course people might say bad things about the game, and if it's somebody making critical content, then that's fair enough. In fact, if it's anybody making any kind of content, you know, that's the risk that companies take, is that they're getting that free advertising, but in return, people might not 100% like the game. So, as a viewer, you always have to take these things with a pinch of salt. You have to actually shoot at, well, land a hit, by the way, but I seem to have wandered off into an entirely different topic. But companies do abuse these powers, and there was a notable case a couple of years ago with Sega and Total Biscuit, where they tried to take down his channel. In fact, I think they took down other channels, and it was entirely to do with marketing. They were trying to improve their own search results, and that's somebody's livelihood if they're doing YouTube. And so it's a big deal, even if it was accidental, as Gaijin says. It's a big deal that it happened at all. So anyway, and again, I don't have enough sport points. Maybe I should just be doing arcade. I should probably not have jumped right back into doing realistic after such a long gap. We'll try an arcade. I've barely done anything but talk so far. Yeah, let's go with arcade. So yeah, Gaijin have made quite a nice game, but we keep doing things, I don't know. I feel like maybe they're trying to make more of an effort to improve. I mean, their damage control of the whole situation was very good. They reacted very quickly. The CEO stepped in personally to give an apology, because he knew just how much of a screw up it was. You know, you don't have to. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that could really blow back on you quite hard if it's done wrong. And as I'm saying all this, you know, I don't want people to think that I think Wargaming are completely that they always get everything 100% right, because they don't. And it's not like Wargaming are total angels. And I suppose, to be fair to Gaijin, you know, they and Wargaming and any other company, companies are comprised of individuals, and sometimes individuals screw up, and other individuals then have to sort it out. And so, yeah. But anyway, let's actually try and play some tanks this time. I might actually have some idea what I'm doing, and maybe if I concentrate a little more on playing tanks rather than talking about other things, I might do a little bit better. On the other hand, I might just continue to suck, but there's a reason I don't play a lot of War Thunder tank battles. And, well, there's no point covering all the reasons why I prefer War of Tanks. I've done that in multiple videos, but I still think it's nice that War Thunder's here and it's doing something different. It's just sometimes some of the decisions that Gaijin takes slightly mystifying to some people, but I'm sure they have their reasons that make sense to them at the time. Let's see if we can get that guy. A little in the open here, but that's only a T-26. Oh, somebody else got it. I also want to do some armoured warfare soon, before the current test ends anyway. I'm sure you've seen people's videos on the PvE, which I have actually been enjoying quite a lot. Again, that's another thing that they've sort of talked a little bit about doing in context of revamping historical battles in World of Tanks, it's having PvE elements. But they've been mooting that idea for a little while now. And this is one of the things that World of Tanks in particular doesn't do, is move particularly fast. Although we did get one of the Q&A answers with Victor Kisley at TankFest. I asked him a question about World of Warplanes and its failure, and you know, if there were plans to stick by it and try and revamp it and make World of Warplanes 2.0 essentially. And his answer was rather roundabout, but we did get some interesting tidbits of information, and one of them was that they held back World of Warships for a year or more precisely as a result of their experience with World of Warplanes. And to give him credit, you know, despite all the waffle, he basically took personal responsibility for it and said it was his decision at the end of the day to push it out the door when they did, and that in retrospect, it was far too early. So when it came to World of Warships, they held on to it for much longer to actually be sure that they had something that they wanted to push out into public, to let people play. And so therefore World of Warships has come out in a far better, far more polished state, and in a far more enjoyable state than World of Warplanes did when it launched. And to be honest, even comparing World of Warplanes now to World of Warships at launch, World of Warplanes still isn't that great. So yeah, that was I felt that was a bit of interesting information. So that's a case where taking longer to do something actually resulted in a better product, looking at it in those terms. But there are other things where wargaming just seems dreadfully slow to in particular in terms of World of Tanks, and in particular in terms of things like vehicle balance. They seem particularly slow to actually change things. But maybe, again, it's that World of Warplanes experience showing through, and they've just decided after that experience that rushing isn't necessarily a good idea. Let's see if we can... Oh, maybe a shot there. Hello? Rear of somebody's axle. Looks like he's tracked as well. Actually, let's try for the rear armour. Nope. Bit of RNG in play here. Ah, and he's dead. Oh, hello. That's a tank. Or is it a plane? See if I can get that guy. Actually, that 35T over there is probably a lot better. Oh well, this is... Yeah, I probably should have done this from the start. Like, I know the game is heavily holding my hand, but... I think that's probably what I need, to be honest. So, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, just generally speaking, it's good that there's multiple games out doing these things. And people got a bit confused when I was saying that this War Thunder Ground Forces isn't competition for World of Tanks in the same way. I mean, people heralded it as being such when it came out, but they're just too different in terms of the kinds of games that they are. So they're not really, I mean, by this point they're not competing for the same audience at all, and I think that's fair enough to say. Oh, hello, I'm going to hit him there. I am taking hits from all over the place, so good. That guy seems to have driven into his own artillery though, which is probably a bad plan. Uh oh, hello. Now, if this were World of Tanks, I could just go, ha ha, you don't have a turret, but this is not World of Tanks. This is War Thunder, and the M3 Lee very much does have a turret. So, yeah, suddenly also there's a lot of enemy tanks around. Right. That's a lot of red. I do like the redone the damage indicator in the bottom left corner, and they've kind of made it individual for most tanks now, which is a big improvement. So that was a nice touch with that patch as well. So let's, apparently it's now F to repair. So let's hope that doesn't take too long. But, yeah, Armoured Warfare, to get back to my point, Armoured Warfare coming along, being a much more similar game to World of Tanks in terms of its actual core game mechanics. I mean, the big change that we have already seen is Wargaming saying, well, we're going to look at artillery again, and along with that is probably going to come a rework of HE mechanics, because they don't seem especially keen on going down the... I don't think they want to copy Armoured Warfare's arty model, because they've clearly decided that isn't for them. And as I said in a previous video, that style of arty is almost in the game already in the form of course, the Burt. How come I can't... Oh, there we go. But, I don't know, we'll see how that actually... what that actually results in. Oh, hello. Yes, that was a bit suicidal of you, wasn't it, sir? Right. Now, Panzer II, not much of a threat, but Panzer II to my front, a bit more so. Reload, reload! Hello. Boom. Wasn't critical enough, sadly. Oh, he's on fire, though. Which is... okay, his fire's out. So yeah, competition is always good. And I think people misunderstood me when I said that this wasn't competition in the same way. So I've actually managed to kill some stuff in this battle. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm doing great, but I'm still my first tank. I've actually got a couple of ground kills, and we do appear to be winning. So yeah, I should have gone with arcade from the start. Now, if I live through this artillery, it's going to be a miracle. I've also only got 2 crew members left alive, so that's... yeah, my reflexes are to hold down the right mouse button to hold the turret in place, and of course it's not that at all, it's the C key. That hasn't changed at least. So let's take another little peek. I mean, I've taken a bunch of... whoa, hello! A bunch of damage in this, this position, but it's actually kind of worked out. Let's angle my ass armour, not that there's much armour there to actually talk about. And I'm probably going to die to artillery, but probably can take him out with me. There we go. Right, yeah, I'm pretty sure RT is going to get me this time. I'll be very lucky if it doesn't. Right. So we're repairing. The engine's knackered. There's a lot of red. Still only 2 crew members left alive. And... oh, hello. And it's not looking so good, but I've got plenty of other tanks left. We've also lost control of that middle point, but we're well ahead on the ticket counter. Oh, hello, you're an enemy. And apparently you're an enemy who's not aware I'm here, so that's fine by me. Look at this reload speed, though. You could probably just turn around and blap me in the rear armour quite easily. I'm hoping I can set him on fire, though. Shot to the engine deck should do the trick. He's just not reacting to being shot in the back. Which suits me just fine, to be honest. Right, here we go. He's finally realised his peril. I'm stuck in place for another, what was this, 45 seconds. And there we go. He finally got me. Well, that's a bit unfortunate. 2 shots into his rear armour did not set him on fire. But I feel like I probably lasted a lot longer in that position than I reasonably should have. So let's take another Sherman, I think. Or I could take something a little bit faster. I must have at least done some damage to that guy. I don't have another Sherman to take, which is probably because they were all too high battle rating. Let's go with the M22. Which is a very, very nippy little machine. I actually got to see one of these at Bovington. He's a tiny little tank. I mean, as I said in my Tank Fest video, which you should definitely go and watch, I was surprised for the most part by how big the tanks actually are compared to how big you think they are playing games like this. Apart from the M22 Locust, which is exactly as tiny as you think it would be. And it's actually kind of difficult to think that 3 people, as you can see there, 3 very cramped looking people can actually fit in there. Is that 4? In fact, no, it is 3. Okay. I can count numbers. How do they work? But, yeah, this is just, I cannot imagine squeezing yourself into a machine like this. Basically no armour. Oh, I think they've seen me. But let's get, back. Don't have a lot of armour to work with in this thing. Because being an airborne capable tank, well, armour wasn't really much of a concern. It was basically, you know, if it'll stop machine gun bullets going through, that's good enough. Pretty much. I'm probably not going to get that guy, but... oh, critical. What did I get? Oh, nice. Good few crew members there. Well, that T-28's armour is apparently... oh, critical there. Going to be a little bit tricky. If I can get another kill, that should be rather nice. I have no idea what my score is compared to the rest of the team at the moment. Probably not that good, but this is fairly low tier arcade. Oh, kill assist. So that guy's lucky he didn't drive forward just a second sooner. That BT. One of the new tanks they put in was it a BT5 or a BT7, but with basically like a 75mm howitzer or something like that. I haven't actually played that. There's a bunch of stuff they've put in at the lower ranks that I could set it to research, but I frankly don't play this game enough, so I'm probably never going to buy them. It looks like my score wasn't too bad there, and I did more than just drive forwards and immediately die, so that was definitely progress. Yeah, 4th place on the team, not too shabby. I don't know why I'm looking at chat history, whatever. Bunch of ribbons, bit more XP, and I managed to unlock some things, I think, on the Sherman, which is nice. So I guess the suspension sounds good. Adjustment of fire. Okay, finish. And probably some crew points as well, but I'll spend those later on. So there we go, a bit more War Thunder, and it's looking alright with this latest patch, although they did add another rather questionable American vehicle. I mean, we already had the Sherman Calliope, or however you say that, and not content with adding a Sherman with a bunch of rockets on, they then added a 90mm Hellcat, which is like, what is this, World of Tanks? So, yeah, as if there weren't enough complaints about the Hellcat already, from what I understand, which, in this game at least, it gets its, I'm not actually sure if it's totally its historical speed, but it's a very nippy machine. And even a nippy machine with a 76mm gun, being able to get around behind people, well, okay. And this thing's got a 90mm gun, so... And that's fine in World of Tanks, because they balance things rather differently in World of Tanks. But in this game, a 90mm Hellcat just seems ridiculous. But anyway, I'm sure there's plenty of other people that have done videos on that. So if you enjoyed this bit of live recorded gameplay, you can hit the like button. You can leave a comment below telling me how bad I am at War Thunder, because believe me, I do know. You can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.